Hi guys, Josh here, aka Beards and Books. Today I'm doing my 400 subs Q&A. Hope you enjoy. So guys, firstly, massive thank you to anyone who subbed, liked, commented, views my videos. The channel's grown massively in the first couple of months. Massive thank you to you all for helping it come along. So if you follow me on social media, you'll have seen I put a question up about what you'd want to ask me in a Q&A video. So what I've done is I've collated all the questions, I've split into two videos because it would just go on for far too long otherwise, and this is part one. So I've got 16 questions for you today, guys. I'm going to put a list of all the questions and who sent them down in the description box just to try and get through this as quick as possible and save you all waiting for ages. First question, as I'm sure you can tell, was asked, people asking more about my dog, which is this giant lump here. This giant lump is Xena, warrior princess, otherwise known as Tub Tub. So me and my girlfriend rescued Xena roughly a year ago. So Xena is an old English bulldog. I will write it down below because it still confuses me to this day. So Xena is 4, turning 5. As I mentioned, she's an old English bulldog. We rescued her roughly a year ago from a local shelter. She was in the shelter for about 6 months. We're not overly sure why. She's a great dog, really affectionate, really loving. The only problem we have is that she does that. I've had to put her out the room after she knocked the camera over. So as I mentioned, we rescued her roughly a year ago. It's almost her birthday. She's turning 5. Super affectionate dog. We love her to bits. Best thing we ever did was adopting her. We did have another dog just before her, but sadly she passed away roughly 6 months after we adopted her. Hence why we picked up Xena. Next question. What's a genre that you want to read more and are looking for more recommendations on? That would have to be thrillers for me, something I've touched on a couple of times. Is that I don't really read thrillers and I don't really know where to start. I've been collecting quite a few and I've been picking up quite a few, but they're not necessarily mainstream ones. A lot of them are just ones that I've been picking up as I've gone along. So if you've got any recommendations for thrillers, please let me know. Right, next question. I'm going to have to read this one up on my rather manly pink iPad. Would you rather read new books, no repeat reads, but forget the plot after you finish, or read one full shelf of between 12 and 20 books and be able to reread them over and over? I think I'd have to reread the between 12 and 20 books. Things like Harry Potter, oh, I don't know actually, because you imagine rereading Harry Potter, but then you'd forget. I'd go for the 12 and 20 books and be able to remember them. As nice as it would be to reread your favourite books over and over again forever, forgetting them would just ruin it, so use books. Next up, of all the villains from the books you read, which was your favourite and why? This will probably come as no surprise, but I'm going to choose the Night King and the White Walkers from Game of Thrones. Now the reason I love the White Walkers especially so much is because they don't speak. Their actions and how they become bad guys is fully from their actions. There's no talking, there's no big speeches. It's purely about what they do in the series. And the same with the Night King. Obviously we haven't really seen him in the books as much, but through the TV series you think they don't speak. They're fully based on their actions, and I've always really enjoyed them. The whole aspect of the people you kill them becoming part of your army is just brilliant. Question number 5, what are some of your favourite childhood books? So, like most people growing up in the 90s, Harry Potter was a major one for me, same as most people. I was also a big Goosebumps fan, and I also really enjoyed things like The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. They're books that I plan on rereading soon, because I think it's nice sometimes to go back to your history with books, essentially. I was also a big comic book fan. I read a lot of things like Pokemon, Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh, stuff like that, because I was one of the cool kids, represent, so yeah. Question number 6, what books do you think need to be made into movies? Now this one's quite tough because let's face it, most books that are big and popular get made into a TV show or movie. So I picked one that I know will get a film and I think has already got a film deal, which is Armada by Ernest Cline. I really enjoyed Ready Player One, the book. I thought the film was decent, it wasn't as good as the book, but Armada is actually my favourite of Ernest Cline's novels so far. I did prefer it over Ready Player One. I'm really looking forward to see what they can do with a film version of this, just fingers crossed it's probably sticks more to the book. I think Ready Player One changed quite a bit, which was why fans of the book didn't enjoy it as much. Question number 7, if you could meet one author and interview them, who would it be and why? So this was a question that I included in my Road So Far tag, and at the time I said George R. R. Martin. Being a big Game of Thrones fan, I especially want to talk to him about when the next couple of books would be out. But as a lot of you will know, I'm in the middle of a Stephen King reading month at the moment, and it's the first time I've properly sat down and read multiple Stephen King books, especially in one go. And although it's been quite a difficult month because they're not necessarily the easiest reads, Stephen King's writing style and the ideas he comes up with, I just think are brilliant. I think his mind is either a very special place or he genuinely is just genius. So I'd love to sit down with him and find out where he came up with a lot of the ideas. I've watched some of his interviews on YouTube, and he says that's one of the main questions you get is, where do you get these ideas from? Or, what damaged you as a kid to make you come up with these ideas? And he says nothing. They're just things that come up to him all through life experience. So, I probably wouldn't get any more than that, but he'd be an interesting guy to speak to, I think. Question number 8. What's your favourite hobby which is non-media, gaming or book related? Now I'm going to go for the cheesy one and say just spending time with my family, especially my girlfriend and my dog, but also my brother as well. We're all really close. I don't really have, as bad as this makes me sound, a lot of hobbies outside of media of one form. We go to the cinema a lot. We do go out for meals quite a lot, so I suppose eating food is a hobby. But books, gaming, films, other than that, it would just be spending time with my family. Question number 9, what's your day job? So I work in IT. I'm what's called a service delivery manager. So I work for a company which is quite a large IT company, and I manage the relationship between my company and a set of customers, essentially. It's quite a big company, so the customers are quite big. I won't go into names, because I don't actually know if I'm allowed to, in all honesty. But I think that's why I'm a relatively confident speaker. It's because I will sit in meeting rooms with CEOs and directors and talk to them about how things are going between the companies, essentially. It's a really good job. It's a really interesting job, and it's one I'm definitely lucky to have. It is IT, so it can be a bit boring, but overall, it's a good job. Next question, and probably my favourite one so far, because Marina, just being Marina. What are your favourite videos to film, and why are you so awesome? So, in terms of why I'm so awesome, I think I want to say it's just the way I was born. I think, I must just come from an awesome family. And in terms of favourite videos to film, I think from when my channel's still new, you will have seen that I'm trying to do different things with my videos. I've done things with Goodreads recently, and I'm trying to do sort of different tags and TBRs and stuff. I think at the minute, my favourite ones are just the original ones that I'm trying to sort of bring out. It's tough. I think BookTube's tough because there are so many of us that love our books and love filming, but we all do the same videos to some extent, and that's no one's fault because it is tough to come up with original ideas. But I think the reason I'm trying to come up with original ideas is because, I don't know about you, but being a small content creator, if I make the same video as 1,000 other channels, the odds of my one being the one that's seen is quite small. Hence why I'm trying to come up with different ideas. Question number 11. Who are some of your influences in the community that gave you your incentive to start your channel? So I've touched on, I think, in my BookTube history tag. I didn't actually watch too many BookTube channels before I took the plunge and started my own channel. The main one I watched was Books with Emily Fox, just because, like most people, not knowing many small content creators, I gravitated straight towards the bigger channels. So I suppose I'd have to say Books with Emily Fox, but I haven't really based any of my channel or my videos on the videos that she does. I think I took the plunge. I knew I wanted to talk more about books and with like-minded people, so I took the plunge and started my channel. And I suppose I've just kind of took influences from basically every channel I watch along the way. So Read Marina, I love her personality and how she sort of projects herself. Samantha Leanne over at Leanne's Lit, I love the way that she talks about specific books, especially horror books and Stephen King. And there are so many others that I couldn't possibly name them all, but just all of you, basically. Everyone who makes BookTube videos, I in some way, especially the ones that I watch regularly, will take little bits of what they do. Question number 12. If you could be part of any book as an original character, i.e. yourself, which book would you choose and why? Also, would you be a good guy or a bad guy? Now, for me, whilst I didn't love the books as much as the films, I've chosen The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. I love the story of Lord of the Rings. The books, they're a bit slow sometimes. But one character I've always loved throughout the story, no matter what, is Aragorn. So I think if I could be in any type of book as an original character, I would want to be a character of the Aragorn vein. So I would choose Lord of the Rings, and more specifically, I would want to be a character like Aragorn. I think I'm a bit of a boss, in my own opinion. So, as a side question to question 12, I also had another question asking which fictional character I relate to the most. And for that, I'm going to choose Tyrion from A Game of Thrones, minus the height difference. I'm someone I'm quite driven, whether that be in work, whether it be in social life, even with YouTube. You'll have seen that I'm trying to do as much content as possible. And I find that Tyrion is in the same way a very driven character. He's not someone that lets I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but there's a quote early on in the Game of Thrones books which goes something along the lines of, if you use your faults as a shield, no one can hurt you with them. And I just think the character of Tyrion is so driven, and he's someone that won't let anyone else drag him down. It's something that I try and be myself. I try and always aim for more in life, so I choose Tyrion. Question number 13. Have you read any books by an author from where you're from or based where you're from? I'm based in a town / county called Gloucestershire in the south in the UK, and I don't believe there's any books or authors, or at least relatively mainstream authors, that are from where I'm from. I did look it up quickly and there was no one that I recognise, so I'm going to have to say no. Question number 14. If you didn't have a booktube channel, what would your YouTube channel be about? I think it would probably be just a general nerdy channel. So I've talked about gaming quite a lot, but as you'll see, I collect things like Funkos and such as well. So I think it would probably be a gaming channel where I would do sort of Funko videos and just general collections. I collect pretty much anything in geeky ways, comics and such as well, games, memorabilia, anything really. So it would be some sort of geeky channel. Question number 15, and this is kind of in two parts. So part one, if you could swear fealty to any house in Westeros, which house would it be and why? Part two to that question would be, which faith or religion would you follow in Game of Thrones? So this is a really easy one for me. In terms of the house that I would swear fealty to, it would without a doubt be Stark. I think it's the house that I'm probably the most similar to. I suppose the big bearded guys from the north. And I like jumpers. I'm a winter man, and they all wear coats and jumpers, so I would definitely be a northerner. And I think following on from that, in terms of religion that I'd follow, it would be the old gods, so the gods of the north. I wouldn't be one, like the Red Priestess and all that, and Rahalor, where they like to burn people. I'm not about that. And I'm not a religious man myself, so the idea of the seven in King's Landing, that's too many people for me to worship. So old gods of the north, and I would swear fealty to House Stark. Represent. Final question for part one of my Q&A video. Do you have a book or book series that you really enjoy but haven't spent much time talking about on your channel? I would have to say no, is the honest answer. From when my channel is really new, I've tried to talk about all of my favourite books and series quite often because it's the ones that I'm the most passionate about. So at the moment, there isn't really anything that I haven't read, I haven't talked about. Sorry, I suppose the only thing I could say was doing my Stephen King month at the moment. I have really enjoyed a lot of Stephen King's writing, so I haven't talked much about that, but I do plan on doing that in the coming weeks when I do the wrap up. So a massive thank you for everyone that sent questions along to me. As I mentioned, I will do part two of this video as well, and that will probably be out next week. If you have any additional questions, let me know down in the comments. I'm always happy to answer them. Thank you again for everyone that helped get me to 400 subs. I have no idea how I've done it so quick, but you've all been absolutely brilliant, and I'll speak to you soon.